Because now we're going to be talking about Quentin Tarantino.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Everybody's like, whoa, you haven't really touched Tarantino on this pod. How are you going to talk about him? I'm going to tell you something right now. I watched the clip of what he was talking about. What got headway, made news in our circles, in the comic book pop culture circle. He had some comments about the Marvel movies and the Marvlization of Hollywood. And honestly, it's a 4-minute clip of this whole podcast that he did with Tom Segura. Two bears, one cave. Two bears, one cave. Two bears, one cave. Anyway, and honestly, Quentin Tarantino is very nice about it. He even says, I think I have it in one of the clips, he says, like, I'm not meaning to say this to rag on them. Like, he's not saying it, he's saying it as a movie lover. He's saying it as someone, and he's coming from I think, a good place. I think he's not trying to be mean or anything. I want to also say to this, and, you know, we have the Scorsese thing saying it's a theme park, and James Cameron had his comment. We'll get to James Cameron.
Fucking get to you, Jimmy. Fuck.
I just got to say, and you probably have the same feeling I did. I tweeted about it. I said, I don't really care what they think about this, because while I think they're excellent filmmakers and obviously they're auteurs and whatever the accolades,
we had whatever talk about that.
Yeah,
last night.
whatever flowers you want to give them, fine. But like, it doesn't change my opinion of a movie. Just like Rotten Tomatoes doesn't do shit for my opinion of a movie. Yeah, there's times when I'm looking on a streaming service, I can see a movie is obviously bad, and I see its Rotten Tomatoes score, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, clearly this. But if there's something that I want to see or something I want to enjoy,
when Hollywood comes out with a movie project or whatever, and I'm like, why? I do love seeing like a shitty Rotten Tomatoes score. I do, because it's like, well, fucking, what did you expect, assholes? I love to see Hollywood fail because things need to change.
But at the same time, you'll
until
applaud,
they fail
at
more.
At the same time, you'll applaud when something's good.
If I like something and I see a good Rotten Tomatoes score, I'm like, cool. But neither one of those instances makes me want to see or not see a movie.
The only time that happens is when I see like a sci-fi original movie and it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's a sci-fi movie and it has a low Rotten Tomatoes score. It makes whatever, you know. But what I'm trying to say in general is, I don't let a website dictate what movie I watch. I don't let a director's opinion dictate a movie that I watch. And I said in the tweet, if you enjoy it,
it enhances our experience.
If you yourself enjoy it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it enhances your experience. Some people take it as gospel, which is sad.
Because we live in a binary world that has to be like, this is good or this is bad. And they can never be like, yeah, most people think this is bad, but I enjoy it.
Perfect example. There were a bunch of times in the holiday special, the Guardians holiday special, that I liked. But again, it wasn't all for me. It just
didn't work for you. Yeah.
I don't think it's bad necessarily, like overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And like I said, like that's how you disagree with something. I didn't like it.
I've said on this show,
this is why.
I always try and find good in the movie. Even if I don't like the movie, I try to find things that I did like.
You don't have to add on, this is why you shouldn't like it either, because they're trying to destroy our culture. No.
But anyway, I pulled two clips from the interview that I thought were interesting, and I really just cut out Tom Segura response. The
thing I like about Tom is I used to work at a video store, you know, and then I just like make movies, you know.
Anyway, here's the first clip.
I don't love them. All right. I mean, look, I used to collect Marvel comics like crazy when I was a kid, and so there's an aspect that if these movies were coming out when I was in my 20s, I would totally be fucking happy and totally love them. I mean, they wouldn't be the only movies being made. They would be those movies amongst other movies. But I'm almost 60. So, I'm not quite as excited about them as...
Can I tell you the thing? I mean, for me, I don't have your...
I'm not here to rag on those, So it's like, I don't have any... My only axe to grind against them is they're the only things that seem to be made. And they're the only things that seem to generate any kind of excitement.
So...
That's a fair criticism.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is a fair take, and I agree with him on some levels. You know how many times I am on a streaming service, and I've talked about you, and I know we do this podcast. I know we talk about superheroes. I love talking about superheroes.
Yeah.
But I also like incorporating other things into this show and talking about other entertainment because there's other things out there. And I am like I actively look at things that aren't superhero related because I have to, because there's so much superhero stuff. So on an aspect, I understand what he's saying, and it does feel like they're the only movies getting made because they're the ones that make the most money. They're the ones that get the most advertising.
When I a couple years ago, I quit a job and I had like $12,000 in a 401k, and I didn't want to work for a little while, so I took it all out and got really penalized for it and all that shit. I had to pay shitty taxes next year, whatever. While I was out shopping during one of these many shopping binges that I went on, because instead of using that $12,000 responsibly to live for like a couple months, I was like, nah, I'm going to go buy a TV and about 14 Marvel movies at $20 a pop. Blu-ray and the digital cop, right?
Yeah.
Now we have Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. And all of those movies are on Disney Plus. Now, I do like that I have solid copies of them.
Yeah.
But you know how often I think, man, I really want to watch one of those. Any one of them. And immediately, as soon as any one of them pop into my head, I'm like, nah, not really. And not because it's not rewatchable, but not a lot of it is timeless.
Yeah. And Tom Segura says in this clip that he feels like it's just a lot of it's carbon copies. And
that's a fair criticism
while
as well.
I don't I do understand what he's saying. I don't totally agree that they're carbon copies, but I do. I think what he's implying is there's a formula, and there is.
There's a
an
template.
MCU formula.
There's a template. Yeah.
And again, those are fair criticisms. I'm not, and again, proving that I'm not a fucking Marvel shell. I think those are fair criticisms.
Also,
look, I'll
yeah.
be honest. Mm-hmm. When it was ramping up to Infinity War, when it was ramping up to Endgame, I was like, fuck yeah, give me 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, oh shit. Now we're past that. Now we're getting 3 movies a year. You and I had talked about
That's
it.
why people have hated Phase 4, because they're not understanding. Like,
there were 16 hours of content.
They're expecting everything to interconnect like Infinity War and Endgame did. I'm like, no, that was a special thing.
Instead, they should be.
It'll be another 10 years till that happens again, at least.
Instead, they should
enjoy the content for the content that it is. Also, I don't know if you heard, I clearly heard Quentin Tarantino say, "I'm not here to rag on this shit."
He's not. He has.
You want to know what? That's
he
why I
never
believe.
talks disparagingly about it at all.
You know why I believe that? Because that's what he fucking said.
Yeah. Because I've never.
What is wrong with people?
Well, that's the thing. I've never seen Tarantino as a confrontational guy unless being pushed in an interview.
He sure does like feet, though.
And but he doesn't.
Who doesn't?
Who
doesn't want to jerk off on a foot?
Jesus Christ. Yes, do I think he has a bit of a confidence about him and attitude about him? And I think he does. And I think that comes with that level.
He's
of
earned
success.
it a bit.
Yeah,
he makes really good, fucking solid fucking movies, dude.
Even in I told you I wasn't a huge fan of Inglourious Bastards, but I still think it's a good movie.
Fucking wrong with you. Jesus.
I told you about Hateful Eight. I thought it was way too long, but I still enjoyed that movie.
Django
Unchained is fucking rad.
We agree on Hateful Eight, but we are divided.
There's
on
Pulp
Inglourious
Fiction,
Bastards.
Reservoir Dogs.
Inglourious Bastards was like the best of his movies, almost.
You know what? I don't talk about enough. Fucking those Kill Bill movies. Those are so good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Here's another clip from that interview that Tarantino. Again, to show you, he doesn't. His big issue is valid. There's too many of them, and then this is the one that everybody's latched onto when he talks about why it's killing movies. The idea of the movie star.
But but to go back to your initial question, part of the Marvlization of Hollywood is it's the you have all these actors who have become famous playing these
parts,
characters, but they're not movie stars.
Right.
Captain America is the star.
Right.
Thor is the star. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. I think that's been said a zillion times. But it's like it's these franchise characters that become a star. Before though, okay. Here's a better way to say it. It's like before.
Again, I'm cutting out most of the Tom Segura.
Even 2005, 2009, or something like that. If an actor stars in a movie that does as good as the Marvel movies do, well, that guy's a new star.
Sure,
they're an absolute star, and that means that people dig him or her.
Yeah,
and they like them and they want to see them and stuff. And then they, Sandra Bullock is in Speed.
Right.
All right. And everyone like thought she was amazing in it. All right. She was charming as hell. Everyone fell in love with her. And so, even she does a couple of mediocre movies after that, The Net and something else. Okay. Well, people went to see it because they were
like
excited
Sandra
by
Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. They want to see her in something else. And she's good in those movies.
Yeah.
But that's not the case now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, people went to see those movies.
Have you guys seen any of the movies that like the unestablished actors of the MCU have done other than the MCU movies and how successful they were? Yeah, shut up. It's a fair criticism. I don't.
Well, I said he was talking about Marvel, but I said Batman, because think about how many different actors have played Batman.
Right, but that's a little different because Batman was played by like established actors at the time that they played Batman. Nobody went into Batman in the modern times as a nobody. Nobody did. Keaton was a somebody.
It was still the same.
Kilmer,
I mean,
Clooney, all somebodies.
I see what you're saying. Anthony Mackie
somebody.
was in stuff before this, but he blew up when he did this. And
what I'm saying is Robert Downey Jr. was probably the big established star. Maybe Johansson and maybe Ruffalo were all kind of, and of course Samuel L. Jackson.
That's what I mean. RDJ
Jackson
is probably
is Teflon. But RDJ hasn't done anything outside of the MCU, and the couple things he's done have flopped miserably.
Yeah.
They really have.
And you could make that argument for any of them. You could say for Chris Evans. You could say that for anybody.
Chris Hemsworth. What have they when they tried to lead a not Marvel movie or whatever?
They'd go to Netflix.
Marvel, Men in Black International, perfect example. That was a Hemsworth film.
See, the problem with the Chris Evans thing, I feel like he had an impact on me seeing Knives Out. Now that's an ensemble cast. but I wanted to see him in it.
I appreciate that he is more of an ensemble actor. I think he's best in those roles.
And he's a great Captain America.
Snowpiercer, the Iceman.
But
what
Tyler,
you were talking about, Knives Out. He's fucking Scott Pilgrim versus what?
My point is that
what?
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying even in Captain America's own movie, he has a team in his first movie. He's fighting S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's also got Black Widow with him in his second movie, and then Falcon joins him. So like. You're
Civil
right.
Wars and Avengers movies. Winter Soldier is
all the Avengers movies.
Winter Soldier is a team up movie with Black Widow and Falcon.
And they introduced Falcon. Yeah. But no, I was totally agreeing with you. But this is also what I love about this whole.
So what we agree on and completely is that all of his criticisms are completely valid
and fair.
not offensive and not attacking. So what happened?
So
bunch of shitheads got involved.
Some shitheads use it to attack people. But I keep wanting to go, but I still want to talk about.
Oh
this.
yeah, that's fine.
Just our takes on this
sure.
for a minute too, and I think anybody that has watched the MCU movies or anybody that watches this can agree, and I think that's a valid criticism. I'm not. You and I both have been keep saying that it's fair and a valid criticism, and I think this is how we should talk about it.
It's not going to make me not see them.
This is how you talk about something that you don't like or something that you don't necessarily watch or care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many times that I see things that show up for movies or things, and I'm like, that could probably apply to this podcast, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't really want to talk about it.
We talked about Scorsese a little bit, and to be really brutally honest, Scorsese is one of those kind of a-holes who just kind of came out and just
he's not wrong though about calling it a theme park. He's not necessarily wrong,
right? But I respect.
I like theme parks.
I respect Tarantino's criticism more than Scorsese's for a simple reason. I fucking know Quentin has seen some MCU movies. I fucking know Scorsese hasn't.
Yeah,
I know he refuses to. So he doesn't. You don't get to criticize something if you haven't experienced it for yourself. And Quentin Tarantino has clearly watched some of these movies.
Well, and Tarantino himself in the clip was talking about how much he used to read comics and everything. And I believe that because he's a guy that...
I still read comics. Maybe that's why I'm single.
I think he's single too, to be honest. So there you go.
Yeah, okay. Let's compare me to Quentin Tarantino as far as like how likely we are to get a partner in our lives, to meet somebody.
You're the one making that statement, not me.
You know... Just shut up. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.